Welcome. And in this presentation, I just want to give you an overview of the PSA so you have a little help and a little bit more information in developing your public service announcement. So think about the purpose of your PSA. And really, a public service announcement is something that is designed to motivate the audience, to encourage the audience, to get them to think differently or critically about a particular issue, and maybe even take some action. That action can be in the form of just an emotional thought, just thinking about something differently. It can be in the form of actually physically doing something, saying, I'm going to take part in this particular issue because I feel passionate about it also. So your PSA should really be designed to target an audience and to get them to feel and to think and to do something. So you're informing the audience. You want to change someone's opinion. You want to provide someone with an idea of something that is near and dear to you, that's important, that does have some type of global impact or a community impact or even an individual impact. And so these are some of the things you want to consider as you develop your PSA. You want to provide a sense of awareness about an issue. You also want to change that personal behavior. You want to do this in a way that really touches the emotional side of individuals, because sometimes that is the key to get them to buy into your thoughts. So you want to cause a different train of thought. You want someone to see your PSA. You want them to think a little bit differently about the issue. And so this can be done in a variety of ways, and we'll talk about that in a few moments. But you want to provide this assistance to others. You want to give them something that they may not have, that they may not have thought about before, but you want to bring an awareness to their mind, to the forefront of their mind, and you want to do so in a way that really causes them to feel something, to be connected with the topic that you have, to say, yes, that is important. I want to help spread this word. Or, yes, I do feel passionate about that. How can I offer some assistance? Or where can I go to provide some information? Or what else can I do to contribute to this particular area? If you just do a general Google search or even a YouTube search on public service announcements, you'll find that there are tons and tons that are out there that are professionally done. I'm not expecting a professional studio quality PSA from you. It's okay, but I do want you to go through this process of thinking through it and developing something that's going to address those issues I just mentioned. So some of the popular examples are boosting attendance in schools. There's this link between attendance and behavior and graduation rates, which also is aligned to success in the job market. And so there's this chain of events that occur simply because attendance is important. And so through this PSA, they really want you to feel that, okay, if you're missing school, then it's definitely going to have some impact on you later on down the line. There's also another big one on bullying prevention. And so what you want to do is you want to sympathize or empathize with the person who's being bullied, and you want to be able to do something about it. And so you want to contribute, you want to help, you want to bring awareness to this issue and talk about how important it is. And so these are just some examples of some PSAs that have been done. Now, here's some helpful guidelines as you develop it. I want you to think about a particular area of concern that you have. I know you've already submitted your script, and feel free to change it. I mean, if you go through this presentation and you say, you know what, I don't like what I have, it's okay. I'm not going to be detrimental to the grade. I'm not going to hurt it a lot. I just want you to have fun with this. I want you to be creative, and I want you to develop something that is really passionate to you. So identify an area. It can be a dimension. It can be something outside of that dimension, but it should be a topic or issue that you really feel strongly about, that you want to bring awareness to. I want you to focus on a particular target audience. Like I said before, you've already addressed this in your script, but think about how the topic you have chosen relates directly to that particular audience, because sometimes topics are designed for kids, some are designed for parents, some are designed for students, and so think about your target audience. Then get as much research as you can about the topic. You want to be able to cover your bases. You want to be able to tie this into something that can be concretely rooted in research. You want to make sure that it is a big enough problem, that there are enough people out there who have the same concern or who will be impacted by the PSA. So do a little research on it. And then, as you've done already, you've developed your script or your storyboard. You can create a video or you can create a PowerPoint. And this is where your own creativity will come into play. It's easier to go ahead and do a PowerPoint if you're not tech savvy, you don't have a lot of time. You can go ahead and just get some still pictures, Sometimes be careful when you're obtaining still pictures from the internet. Some of those are copywritten, but you can get some still images and just create this PowerPoint presentation that just kind of flows with some text on the screen. But you want to be creative with that, so it's just not looking at the still pictures and just reading text. So you want to have some music or some sound in the background that helps guide the viewer as well, and that also adds a different emotional touch to it. And then you want to review and edit your PSA. So be sure that whatever you have, after you think it's completed, review it again. Maybe have someone else take a look at it and give you some thoughts and some feedback so you can make any revisions that are necessary. As I mentioned before, you've already developed the script. These are just some of the things that were covered in the script, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But if you want to take a look at those and go through step by step, and like I mentioned before, maybe change what you have, you can pause the video now and just take a look and read through those steps in developing the script. But then you have your actual PSA. So it should be completed in a video format, and you can save a keynote if you're using a Mac, or you can save a PowerPoint if you're using a Windows-based PC. You can save those files as a movie format. So be sure that when you complete your PSA, it is in a movie or video format. Make sure it's tasteful. Make sure it's done in a professional sense. Sometimes people will use humor in their PSA, but it's misdirected. The humor may not be shared by everybody. Sometimes it can be offensive. So think about what you're doing. Think about how others will perceive what you've done, and make revisions as necessary. Think about how you can grab the audience's attention in the first few seconds of the PSA. If you just start your PSA with some simple images and text, typically people are going to turn away within the first 3 or 4 seconds. So you want to be sure you capture their attention in the first few seconds and hold their attention and provide some vital information. Your PSA should be persuasive. It should cause that viewer to really think differently about the issue. It should touch their emotional side. It should bring them into it to make them think that this is a big enough issue that they can contribute to and help with. And then think about your overall content. Be sure your focus is maintained throughout the entire PSA. Oftentimes people jump around back and forth to different ideas. They're trying to squeeze so much into this 30-second presentation that you really lose content of what the focus is. So provide your information, be specific, be straight to the point. Now, think about the goal, think about the purpose, think about why you've developed this. You want to get your point across quickly and clearly. You want to do it as simply as possible, and you want to emphasize that issue that you're addressing, but you also want to do it in a way that, like I mentioned before, is tasteful, is effective, is meaningful, and it does touch that emotional side of the viewer. Think about the quality. As I mentioned before, I'm not expecting you to have studio quality, production, but I want you to think about how it is viewed and whether or not the viewer can see. Sometimes people will have this extravagant background and then they'll put white text up, and the text cannot be viewed on the background. So think about those things, how the colors, how the images, how the text complement the overall presentation. Make sure it's easily viewable. The texts are on the screen long enough for the viewer to read, and it doesn't take away from the actual topic. Sometimes people will provide an image as a shock value, but the image will really have nothing to do with the overall topic. So be sure everything is aligned within your PSA. Keep it down to 30 seconds, no more, no less, And this is a difficult process because you really have to figure out what you need to edit. And most people, when doing this, especially if developing a PowerPoint, will find that they will just leave the image or the text up on the screen for a significantly long time just to eat up time. Try not to do that. Time it out. Make sure it flows smoothly. Make sure you don't have one image or one set of text or a sentence or something on the screen too long, because then it kind of gets to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, it looks like you're trying to eat up time, so you don't want to do that. So try to edit it down effectively so the 30 seconds is all meaningful. Now, there's several different topics that you can address within your PSA. This is just a list of some of those things. I want you to have the freedom to do whatever you feel is important to you. It doesn't have to be limited to this list right here. It could be on any topic whatsoever. These are just a few of the most developed, or the topics that have been most used throughout my time in teaching this course. But once again, you have the creativity, you have the freedom to do whatever it is that you feel is important to you. And so I want this to be something that you feel strongly about as well, and not just something that I'm telling you to do. So choose one of these topics, choose another one, whatever feels comfortable for you. Now, in the final presentation, there's some things that I want you to really think about. I mentioned before the text, the images, the backgrounds, the colors that you use. Make sure that they are not detracting or they don't take away from the overall topic, the viewability of the PSA. Readability is important. Leave the text on the screen long enough to be read, but not too long where it just seems like you're trying to eat up some time. And this is difficult. It's tough to do this because you really don't know the average reading time of most people who are viewing this, and so you want to do this in a balanced way. The transitions that you use, especially if you're using PowerPoints, some will also extend these transitions so it's like a 4 or 5 second fade onto a different picture just to eat up some time. We don't need that. Cut, make it simple, make it quick, unless it is part of the overall, importance of, or the type of creativity you're trying to project. If it's not part of the PSA, we don't need a lot of long, dramatic fades and pauses. The audio should be clear. Sometimes people put music in the background. You should have, if you're using music from a particular artist, you should have that written down in your script. You don't have to include a reference or a citation in your actual PSA, but you should give credit to the artist and the music or the sound that you're using. But be sure your audio is clear. If you're speaking, be sure that you are speaking loud and articulately so that it is easy to hear exactly what you're saying. Provide some helpful information throughout your PSA. Try not to eat up some time with just useless information that does not have a meaning, does not relate, does not have any impact, does not contribute to the overall message of the PSA. Keep in mind that all the references that you've used in your research and things like that are to be included in the script, not in the PSA. And so this isn't something that is done as a paper. So you don't have to include your name. You don't have to include any reference citations or things like that in your actual PSA. It should just be the video, and you should be complete with that. And then lastly, like I said before, be creative. Have fun with it. Enjoy this process. I don't want it to be something that's burdensome, something that is just really tedious and just really frustrates you. I want you to be creative and enjoy it. If you're not too tech savvy, you're not familiar with PowerPoint, you're not familiar with Keynote, this is just an opportunity for you to understand how those things can be used in a variety of ways. They're not just used for teacher purposes, for lecture purposes. People have developed quality PSAs that have been published, that have been shown on TV, just using something as simple as a PowerPoint. So think about how you can be creative. If you do want to use video, that's great. There is extra credit provided if you're actually using video. It's a little bit more difficult to edit and cut that down, but people have used their cell phones. iPhone video works well. So whatever you can use, there's a lot of programs on the computer that you don't have to purchase that are there for you. There may be a learning curve there, so you may have to spend some time editing those things, but it makes it simple for you. So have fun with this entire process. Enjoy it. Make sure it's something that you feel strongly about, and then just do the best that you can. Okay? If you have any issues, if you have any questions throughout this development process of your PSA, please feel free to contact me and let me know. Other than that, take care, and we'll see you online.